Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League. I'm Nick Diaz. They say no one knows you better than you know you, right? You spend time with you more than anyone else. Well, sometimes the best perspective can actually be from an outsider because it's a non-biased observer who knows little about you and just sees what you do and who you are. And sometimes you can maybe learn a little bit about yourself from that. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to tell you the bad things about every top SEC team as if I'm an opponent or an outsider looking and observing you from the outside. It's going to be rapid fire. So everything that I observe as an outsider, if I've never known anything about you beforehand, I'm going to tell you what I see and what's wrong with you. Rapid fire with all the top SEC teams. All right, so here we go. If I'm an outsider looking at LSU, here's what I see. All right, you went 5-5 last year. Oh, but you had a whole lot of talent. What was the problem? Why'd you go 5-5 last year? Well, there were some bad coordinators. But don't worry. We replaced them with new coordinators. Well, have they ever called plays before? Well, one of them has. Well, when was it? Oh, it was a long time ago, like 2005 to 2008. It was at a lower level. But don't worry, it was really good when it happened. Well, what about the offensive coordinator? Well, he's never called plays, but he's been in the NFL for a long time. Did anyone ever ask him to call plays before? No, but he's been a really good position coach. All right, well, what do you have coming back with all the talent? Well, Max Johnson, he's a quarterback, all right? He's really, really good. Well, who did he play against? Well, he played in some mop-up duty, but he won the 2 games and looked really, really great against Florida and Ole Miss. And they have pretty good teams, right? Well, yeah, part of their teams are good. What do you mean? Well, their defenses were kind of meh. So Max Johnson's 2 games that he started and played the entire time were against bad defenses. Yeah, but he's really good. Okay. All right, if I'm an outsider looking in at Georgia, look, what's the problem with Georgia? They're usually pretty good, but they never beat the great teams. Why? Well, because the head coach, Kirby Smart, he likes to run the ball and play defense, and he makes some questionable calls a lot. But don't worry, it's different. It's different this year. Well, how is it different? Well, they've got a new quarterback who was injured a lot, but he came back and he looked really, really good. He was highly recruited, and their OC from last year opened up their offense a little bit more, but it was still a work in progress. Okay, so who did they play well against? Well, they played really well against Missouri, but they kind of struggled against Cincinnati. But don't worry, it's still a work in progress. Okay, so is there any reason why they wouldn't be good against really great teams? Well, yeah, in their first game against Clemson, their wide receivers are all going to be hurt. Okay, so who's going to be healthy for that game? Their offensive line and their running backs. So they're just going to run the football and play defense? Well, no, it's different this time. Well, I mean, because the scheme is different. But trust me, the offense is still different now. Don't worry. Kirby Smart is changing, all right, and he's letting his offensive coordinator coach more. Well, is there any proof of him doing that yet? Well, no, but there will be. If I'm an outsider looking at Texas A&M, they went 10-1 last year. Best season they've had in, 80-something years, 70-something years. All right, and they have, maybe the best defensive lineman in the country, maybe the best offensive lineman in the country. Stacked defense, really, really good receivers coming back, very, very talented. Their coach, Jimbo Fisher, he's won a national championship. Oh, he's won a national championship at that school? No, it was at another school. It was recently? No, it was like almost a decade ago, like 8 years ago. But trust me, this year it's going to be awesome. Why? Because, get this, so he's in his 4th year at A&M, and at the previous school, he won a national championship in his 4th year, and he did it with a redshirt freshman quarterback who was really, really talented, but he had never played before. At Texas A&M right now, in his 4th year, he's got a really good, touted freshman quarterback who's also never played before. Correlation equals causation, right? Okay, but all right, fine. So the quarterback's unproven. They have a lot of returning pieces from last year, okay? What made them good last year? Well, they ran the ball and they played defense. And how did that work out for Kirby Smart? Outsider looking in on Alabama. They're always amazing. Alabama is always amazing, always winning national championships. Always? Well, okay, not always. So for the previous 2 years before last year, they didn't win the national championship. And one of those years, they didn't even go to the national championship in 2019. All right, well, When do they usually win the national championship? Well, they usually win the national championship when they have a lot of returning starters. Well, do they have a lot of returning starters? No, they actually lost a lot. But look, trust me, everyone thinks they're going to be good. They have great recruiting classes every single year. The best recruiting class maybe in history is coming in this year. Are they going to contribute? Well, they're freshmen. Do freshmen usually carry the team? Not really. But trust me, everyone thinks they're going to be good this year. Everyone. Well, how do you know everyone thinks that? Well, they were practically unanimous number one in the AP poll this year. So that's a good thing, right? That's always a good thing? Well, except for when it's not. What's that supposed to mean? Well, there's only been like 2 preseason AP number one teams that have won the national championship in the last 50 years. So you're saying there's a chance. And last one, outsider looking in at Florida. All right, so Florida had a good team last year, always consistent under this coach, Dan Mullen. They went to the SEC title game, but they're losing some guys, and they lost their starting quarterback. But they've got a guy who's got some experience coming back. And don't worry, the coach, Dan Mullen, he arguably is the best quarterback coach in college football today. There's a real argument for that, and anybody who looks at his resume can tell you he's done this before with a somewhat young, unproven guy. Always develops young quarterbacks. Always? Yeah. Is it at his current job now? Yeah, he's done it as a current job, at his previous job, as a head coach, and as a coordinator. Multiple stops at multiple levels. Okay, fair enough. But you said that they went to the SEC title game last year. Why didn't they win the SEC? Well, their defense was bad. But don't worry. They have a really good pass rushers coming back, and they have a great cornerback coming back. Could be a top 10 pick in this year's draft. Okay, so if those players are so great, then why were they so bad on defense last year? Well, people were really frustrated with that defensive coordinator. Oh, so Florida got rid of him, I imagine. No, he's still there. He's still the defensive coordinator? Yeah, he's still the defensive coordinator. Why? No one really knows. That was fun. All right, so I'm going to give the prediction for the LSU game really quick. Did any of you watch the Ohio State game last night against Minnesota? Good, because that's what it'll look like for LSU. So here's what's going to happen with LSU, and here's what LSU's going to do. UCLA's defense, if you watched last year and the years before, and even against the Hawaii game, which you could tell very little, it's obvious that UCLA will be a very creative, blitz-happy, schematic sort of defense, and they're going to try to get you confused and not let themselves declare what they are doing on defense every single play. Well, how do you stop that? You stop that by going 4 and 5 wide receiver sets and making the defense declare what it is they're doing, what coverage they are, who's blitzing, who's not blitzing. Easiest way to do that. Similar to what LSU did in 2019 with Joe Burrow. 4 and 5 wide empty sets. All right. I think LSU's going to pass to open the run, similarly to what they did against Oklahoma. Now, it's not going to look like Oklahoma, obviously, because that team was great, and I don't think it will be that big of a blowout, but the game plan will be very similar. Jake Peetz has mentioned that he will play 5 wide receivers with no tight end or running back if that's the best players that should be on the field for certain formations. He's not opposed to that, and I think that's what LSU is going to do here. Now, UCLA on offense, they can run, but they can't pass. Very simple. Everyone knows the game plan for this. Stack the box. Make them beating you passing. Very simple. Everyone knows that. So like the Ohio State game last night, LSU, they've had some inconsistency with injuries in the offseason, in fall camp, with offensive linemen coming in and out, continuity issues. So like Ohio State last night, LSU will start off looking a little rusty, but not bad, just a little rusty. Things will be interesting in the first half, but in the second half, LSU pulls away. They're too good and too deep and too talented and too athletic for UCLA to hold on for 4 straight quarters. LSU pulls away in the second half, and they win by 17 points. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow me on Twitter and Facebook in the description link below.